Hi, welcome to English Composition. I'm Michael Cheng, and I'm here today with Cher Chen.
各位同学，大家好，我是 Cher， 欢迎来到英文作文课程。
Today we are working on Unit 13, and our topic is writing about data.
我们今天要来看第13课，主题是描述资讯。
And so what we're going to learn today is how to write a description of the data in a graph or a chart.
好，我们今天呢会学习如何去描述在图表或是表格中所表达的资讯。
All right, let's start by taking a look at the graph on page 152 of your textbook.
好，首先呢，我们先来看一下，在你课本上的第152页，这里有一张图表。
And so this is a bar graph that shows bagel preferences.
好，这是一张用来表达对于贝果口味偏好的一张长条图。
And so you can see that there is information about 4 kinds of data, and the information is divided by age range.
好，这表格里面呢，包括了4种不同口味的 bagel，那以及它的分类方式呢是依照受访者的年龄来做分配。
All right, so let's find out more information about the information in this graph by going to watch a little meeting about in which this information will be presented.
好，我们首先呢，先来看一段关于这个采访调查的一段短片哦。那我们来了解一下这张图表所呈现的资讯。
Good afternoon. I'm going to present you the results of our company's market research survey on our bagel products. And first, let me start by giving you an overview of our key findings before going over the data in detail. Our key findings were that plain bagels were most popular with younger customers, and the fruit and multi-grain bagels were more popular with older customers. Now, let me provide some of the background information that led to these key findings. Our survey was conducted from August 14, 2008 to August 17, 2008. It was held in supermarkets and hypermarkets in Taipei, Taichung, and Kaohsiung. In total, 3,427 informants participated in the survey. Okay, this chart presents the popularity of our plain bagels. The vertical axis shows the percentage of informants that liked the plain bagel most. The horizontal axis shows the age group of the informant. You can see the plain bagels were extremely popular among younger customers, but its popularity decreased as the informants got older. And next, fruit bagel. This chart presents the popularity of our fruit bagels. The fruit bagels starts off with moderate popularity among younger customers and steadily grows in popularity. It peaks at 38% popularity among the key 36 to 45-year-old age group. And next, this chart presents the popularity of our multi-grain bagels. Similar to the fruit bagel, it starts off moderately popular among younger customers and steadily rises in popularity. The multi-grain bagels has very strong numbers among the top 3 age group in this survey. And this chart presents the popularity of our garlic bagels. This product was not popular at all with our younger customers and was only slightly more popular with older customers. Now, let's look at our composite findings. We can see that the plain bagels was the most popular bagels among younger customers by a wide margin, but that the fruit bagels and multi-grain bagels are both more popular among top 3 age categories. Finally, the garlic bagel is always the least popular bagels among all age groups. Okay, finally, based on our data, these are our findings. We should supply plain, fruit, and multi-grain bagels to all supermarkets and hypermarkets. However, we should only supply garlic bagels to hypermarket. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
All right, so now let's have Cher explain the information in the bar graph in Chinese.
好的，各位同学，我们现在来看一下这张图表哦。这张图表里面呢，你可以发现它的横轴横轴是显示受访者的年龄分布，那它的纵轴纵轴显示的是受欢迎程度的百分比。 那在这张图表里面，总共有4种不同颜色的长条，分别代表4种不同口味的贝果。像现在各位同学看到绿色这个颜色，代表的是原味的贝果。原味贝果你可以看到它的走势呢，在年轻族群里面是最受到欢迎的随着年龄增加，就越来越受欢迎程度就越来越少。那再看到这个水果口味，黄色的这个长条水果口味的贝果，它在所有的年龄族群之中，大概都是占第2名左右但是随着年龄增加，是越来越受欢迎。那多种谷类贝果呢，则是到了这个最后面倒数3个的这个年龄层的时候，反而是冲到了最受欢迎的第1名。但是最后一个颜色蓝色的这个大蒜口味的贝果，则是不管在任何族群里面都是最后1名。
Okay, so now that we understand what all the information in the bar graph means, let's figure out how we can take this information and put it into a written report.
好，现在我们已经了解了这张长条图里面所代表的意义接下来呢，我们要学习该如何把这些资讯用写的方式写出来。
All right, now the first thing that we should know is that if you put a graph into a paper or into a report, you should describe what the graph means.
好，首先呢，如果你想把这张表格用文字的方式来描述，你必须要先描述这一张图所代表的意义。
And so you can describe the graph by writing a title for your graph, like Bagel Market Research Results or Bagel Popularity by age group. But you should also go on and explain what the key information in the graph is and also what the important conclusion of the graph is.
好，那你可以呢借由帮这张长条图定个标题的方式来描述这张图代表的意义。比如说像刚刚那张图，我们可以称呼它为贝果市场调查结果或者是贝果在不同年龄族群中所受欢迎的程度。但是接着呢，你应该要解释这张长条图中的主要传达的讯息，以及说明这张长条图中结论的这个重要性。
All right, so now let's take a look at the writing model and see how it describes the information in the graph.
好，我们现在来看一下写作范例，看看是怎么样的方式来描述这个图表。
Our survey of bagel preferences shows that the plain bagel was most popular among younger consumers, while the fruit and multigrain bagels were more popular with older consumers.
我们的研究发现，原味贝果在年轻消费族群中最受到欢迎，而水果口味及多种谷类贝果则受到较年长的消费族群的喜爱。
Our survey was conducted from August 14, 2008 to August 17, 2008.
好，我们的研究呢，在2008年8月14日到17日进行。
3,427 people participated in our survey.
总共有3427个人参与我们的研究。
The survey was conducted in supermarkets and hypermarkets in Taipei, Taichung, and Kaohsiung.
本次的研究在台北、台中、高雄的超级市场及大卖场中进行。
The results of the survey show that the plain bagel was most popular among younger consumers, but its popularity decreased as consumer age increased. However, the popularity of the plain bagel never dipped below 20%.
研究结果发现，原味的贝果在消费族群中较受到欢迎，但随着消费者年龄层提高，受欢迎的程度也会跟着降低。然而呢，原味贝果受欢迎的程度始终都没有低于20%。
The fruit bagel was usually the second most popular bagel with all age groups. It was most popular among the 36 to 45 age group, and it had a popularity of approximately 30% for all consumers over 18 years of age.
水果口味的贝果在各种年龄层的消费族群中都占第2名，但是它在36岁到45岁的年龄层中是最受到欢迎的，而在其他高于18岁的消费族群中，也有约莫30%的受欢迎程度。
The multigrain bagel had a high popularity among the top 3 age categories. Its popularity peaked at 41% for the 25 to 35 age group, and it was over 30% in popularity among the next 2 age groups.
多种谷类的贝果在前3高的年龄族群中有着较高的受欢迎程度。那欢迎程度在25岁到35岁的消费者中，大约有41%，而在紧接着的其他2组年龄层消费者中，也有30%的受欢迎程度。
The garlic bagel was the least popular bagel. Few of the younger customers liked it, and it never reached 10% in popularity with any age group.
大蒜贝果是最不受欢迎的一种，很少年轻的消费者会喜欢它，而且即使在其他的年龄层的族群中，它也从未到达过10%的受欢迎程度。
Based on this data, I believe that all supermarkets can carry plain, fruit, and multigrain bagels, but only large hypermarkets should carry the garlic bagel.
根据这份资料，我相信所有的超市及卖场都应该要购入原味、水果及多种谷类的贝果，但是只有大卖场才应该购入大蒜口味的贝果。
Okay, let's take a little break now, and we will be back with more English composition in just a few moments.
好，我们现在先休息一下，待会儿我们再回来继续讨论。
Okay, so now let's take a closer look at the writing model and see how it describes the information in the graph.
好，我们接下来呢，我们来详细的看一下这个写作范例，我们来看看它是怎么样来描述这些资讯的。
Right, the writing model starts out by summarizing all the important information in the graph.
好，这个写作范例呢，一开始就概述了这个表格中所呈现的所有资讯。
And so this gives an overview of the entire graph. And if your reader is very busy, this first line provides a quick summary of everything that your reader needs to know.
好，如果你的读者是很忙碌而且没有办法详细的去阅读每一个句子的话，你一开始的这个概述的句子就能够为这个表格，就是提供这些读者应该需要知道的资讯。
Now, the next line provides some background information that is not in the graph.
好，下一个句子呢，则提供了这张表格的背景资讯。
This background information is important because it allows your reader to evaluate your survey methodology and judge if your results are valid.
背景资讯呢是很重要的，因为它可以让你的读者借由了解你实验的方式呢，来衡量你做出来的结果是否是可信的。
Now, our next section provides a written explanation of each set of bars in the graph.
下一个部分呢，则用写作的方式来详细的解释长条图所代表的每一个意义。
And so now these explanations do not just state the figures that you can see in the graph.
好，这个解释呢，并不只有说出显示的数字而已。
And so it doesn't say something like the plain bagel was judged most popular by 63% of the 10 to 14 age group, or that it was judged most popular by 51% of the 14 to 18 age group.
好，那老师这里就做了2个例子我们的解释不应该只是说出显示的数字而已。像如果我说原味贝果它是在10岁到14岁的年龄层中有63%的受欢迎程度，像这样的句子就是单纯的描述数字而已。亦或是像老师刚刚讲的另外一个句子说，这个原味贝果在14到18岁的族群中它是最受到欢迎的有51%的受欢迎程度这样的方式还是单纯的只说数字而已。
Right, so instead, this section provides an interpretation of the figures in the bar graph.
好，那相反的呢，在这个部分应该要提供一些关于长条图中数字的解读方式。
Right, writing is important because it can take a general feeling or something that you might subconsciously understand, and it makes it into a clear and concise statement that you can make a commitment to.
好，所以借由写作呢，可以帮助你把你潜意识中了解到的重点，用清楚明白的方式把它描述出来。
All right, now finally, the paragraph about the bar graph ends with a conclusion that suggests the type of action that should be taken based upon the information in the graph.
好，到了最后呢，在这个段落的结尾的地方，根据图表中所提供的资讯，这位作者提出了他的建议。
So now this writing model is just a short paragraph about a bar graph. But if we were to write a more complete report, we could probably include additional information to the report.
好，那我们现在看到这个写作范例呢，它只是一个简短的段落哦。但是如果我们希望能够写一个更完整的一个报告的话，我们可以再加入更多其他的相关资讯。
Right, and so this additional information could include the data gathering methodology and the total number of informants in each age category.
好，这些额外的资讯呢，可以是包括像是一些收集资料的方法啊，或者是样本数的年龄分配。
And to describe the data gathering methodology, we would describe all the details about how we conducted the survey, such as which questions were asked and how people were approached to participate in the survey.
好，那描述收集资料的方法的时候呢，我们可以详细的描述进行调查的方式，像是我们是问了哪些的问题啊，我们如何来获取这样子的样本等等的。
All right, let's take a little break now, and we will be back with more English composition in just a few moments.
好，我们现在先休息一下，我们待会儿再回来继续讨论。
Okay, welcome back. Right, when you are writing an explanation about the information in a chart or a graph, it's important to be able to describe data trends.
好，那当你想要解释表格或图表中所看到的资讯的时候呢，首先很重要的一件事就是你必须要先学会怎么样去描述这些资料呈现的一个走势。
Okay, so here's what we wrote about the plain bagel in the writing model. The plain bagel was most popular among younger consumers, but its popularity decreased as consumer age increased. However, popularity of the plain bagel never dipped below 20%.
好，各位同学可以看到现在荧幕上的这个段落哦，这是我们在写作范例中描述原味贝果的一个段落。
All right. Now, another way to write about information is to describe the shape of the data. So let's isolate the plain bagel data from our chart.
好，另外一种的描述方式呢，则是描述资料走向的一个形状。哦，让我们现在把这个原味贝果的资料独立出来，来看一看它的形状是怎么样子的。
And so when we look at the shape of this, we can see that the popularity of the plain bagel is falling.
好，现在我们来看看这张图表，我们会从这个图表中发现呢，原味贝果受欢迎的程度是渐渐下降的。
And so one way to describe this event is to write the popularity of the plain bagel plunged sharply until it leveled off at about 22%.
好，那我们要描述这样子的一个状况呢，我们可以写出下面的这个句子。我们说原味贝果的受欢迎程度急剧的下降直到22%。
So in this sentence, we use the verb plunge to describe the movement of the data.
好，那我们在这个句子里面，我们看到用了 plunge 这个字来描述资料的走向。
And so plunge creates the image of a rock or a person falling over the edge of a cliff or an airplane falling out of the sky.
好 ，plunge 这个字呢，它其实是呈现一种像是石头或是一个人从悬崖边或是从飞机上急剧的掉落的这样一个画面。
And so obviously this is a very, very negative image. And so the negativity of the sentence is made even more powerful by adding the verb adverb or the adverb sharply.
好，那当然我们知道 plunge 这个字暗示的是这样一个画面它是一个具有负面意义的字。那句子的负面感觉呢，可以借由再加上副词，像是我们在这个例句中 sharply 这个字，来让它变得更加的强烈。
So now, if you can look at page 158 of your textbook, we have a number of words that you can use to describe the shape of your data.
好，那现在各位同学可以看到课本的第158页这里有一张表格，这张表格呢有提供一些我们可以用来描述资料走势的一些字。
And so here you can see that we have some different categories. Some of these categories or the first category is to describe rising data.
好，我们可以看到这个表格里面呢，分成4种不同的种类在这靠左手边第一个栏位呢，它表示的是上升的趋势。
Right, and then the next one talks about what happens when your data reaches a high point.
好，那第2个栏位表示的是当你的这个资料到达制高点的时候，你可以用下面这些字。
And our third category looks at data that's just staying flat. It's not going up or down.
好，那第3个栏位表示的呢，是当你的资料是 呈现一种持平的状态哦，没有升高也没有下降。
And then the last category is for when your data is falling.
好，那最后一个栏位啊，所表示的是当你的资料呈现下降的走势的时候，可以使用的字。
And so you can see that many of these words are related to flying or mountains.
你会发现在这些字里面，很多的字都是跟飞行或是爬山是有关的。
And so, for example, soar, shoot up, and skyrocket all create images of flying.
好，那你可以看到像现在画面中呈现的这3个字哦 ，soar 这个字代表的是往上飞舞或是暴涨的意思哦，就像我们现在看到的这个图片一样，或者是像是这个 shoot up 哦，代表的是迅速的升起的画面哦，亦或是像是这个 skyrocket 哦，代表的是像烟火般哦往上冲，像火箭往上冲一样的这个动作。
All right, we have some other words like climb, peak, and flatten out that are related to mountains or climbing a mountain.
好，那另外这3个字呢，则是和山有关哦。像我们在画面中看到这个 climb 哦 ，climb 是指就是往上爬哦。那这个 peak 只是达到高峰哦。那这个 flatten out 指的是平坦的一个画面。
Now, the strength of these verbs can be increased or decreased with modifiers. And so we can take a look at a sentence.
好，那我们现在提到这些动词呢，哦，它可以适时的用来增加或减少它的修饰语。
All right, so let's take a look at this sentence. The popularity of the restaurant increased.
好，我们来看一下这个例子哦。这个例子，他说餐厅的受欢迎程度增加了。
All right, so let's see how we can change the meaning of this sentence. And so now imagine that you are an investor in the restaurant, and we can add some modifiers that will change how you view this restaurant.
好，我们来看看要怎么样来改变刚刚看到这个例句的强度。那假设说我们现在是这餐厅的投资者，那我们希望要加入一个修饰语啊，那我们来改变在这个他的心目中看到的这个情况啊，这个现实状况的一个感觉。
All right, so in this sentence, the popularity of the restaurant increased dramatically.
好，我们看到这个句子在最后加入了一个 dramatically 啊，它代表的是受欢迎的程度大大的增加了。
All right, and so this will make the reader feel very excited and very optimistic about how successful the restaurant will be.
好像这样的一个句子，就会让你的读者觉得又兴奋哦，又对于这餐厅的成功会感到非常的乐观。
All right, now we have another sentence. The popularity of the restaurant increased steadily.
好，我们现在看到另外一个说法啊，这个说法是说，餐厅受欢迎的程度稳定的增加。
All right, so now this sentence may not make you feel as excited, but you still feel very comfortable and confident in how successful the restaurant can be.
好，那像这个句子的话，不会让你觉得过度的兴奋，但是基本上你还是会感觉到舒服，而且对于这个餐厅的发展状况有信心。
All right, and we have another sentence. The popularity of the restaurant increased a bit.
好，我们再看到再下一个例句哦，这例句说的是餐厅受欢迎的程度会增加1点。
And so now this sentence will probably leave you feeling a bit disappointed.
好，那像这样的句子可能就会让你觉得有一点失望了。
All right, so now let's take a look at how we can describe the data trend for the multigrain bagel and for the garlic bagel.
好，那我们接下来呢，来看看我们要怎么样去描述这多种谷类贝果或是大蒜贝果。
All right, so here is what we originally wrote about the multigrain bagel.
好，以下这个段落呢，哦，就是我们在写作范例中描述多种谷类贝果的一个地方。
And it says the multigrain bagel had a high popularity among the top 3 age categories. Its popularity peaked at 41% for the 25 to 35 age group, and it was over 30% in popularity among the next 2 age groups. Right, and so we can see that these sentences emphasize the level of popularity that is maintained among the top 3 age categories.
好，我们可以发现呢，在这个句子里面哦，它在强调的是在前3高的年龄族群中哦，这大蒜贝果对不起，这多种谷类的贝果哦受到欢迎的程度。
All right, so now let's take a look at another way that we can describe this data trend.
好，我们来看看另外一种方式来描述这个资料哦。
So we can say, looking at this chart, we can see a rising trend, and then once we get to a peak, then it stays kind of the same.
好，我们在这张图表中，我们可以看到 这个受欢迎的程度是慢慢的增加的哦，而且我们可以看到它到达这个顶端之后哦，后面的受欢迎程度都算是蛮高的。
And so, therefore, we can write a sentence like, the popularity of the multi-grain bagel rose steadily until it peaked at 41% among 25 to 35-year-olds.
好，那我们可以根据这张图表写出下面的句子啊。我们可以说，多种谷类贝果受欢迎的程度呢是逐渐稳定的增加哦，直到它在25岁到35岁的年龄族群中到达41%的这个受欢迎程度为止。
And so this sentence will emphasize the growth in the popularity of the multigrain bagel.
好，像这样的一个句子呢，它就强调了多种谷类贝果在受欢迎程度上面的增长。
And so now both the example that we had in the writing model and the example that we both just presented to you are valid ways of describing data. They just emphasize a little different perspective about the data that we see in the chart.
好，那我们刚刚所看到的所有的例句呢，它都是描述资料的一种很有效的方式。那不过，但是这两个句子，它们是从不一样的角度来强调资料的走势。
All right, so now let's go on and let's take a look at the garlic bagel data.
好，我们接下来继续看一下这个大蒜口味的贝果的这些的资料哦。
All right, so this is what we wrote in the writing model. The garlic bagel was the least popular bagel. Few of the younger consumers liked it, and it never reached 10% in popularity with any age group.
好，我们看到这个荧幕上显示出来的段落呢，就是刚刚在写作范例中描述大蒜贝果的一个段落。
And so now, again, this description emphasizes the overall results of the garlic bagel.
好，那刚刚那个段落哦，它是描述了这整体的一个关于大蒜贝果受欢迎程度的一个状况。
All right, so now let's take a look at just the garlic bagel data by itself.
好，那我们现在来看一看，就是单纯的显示大蒜贝果受欢迎程度的这张表格。
All right, and so over here, one thing that we have to be aware of when we look at this picture is the scale. And so it seems like there are some very big differences here, but if we compare it to other data results, then actually the differences are not so big.
好，那当我们在解读一张表格的时候呢，一件很重要的事情就是你要观察这个表格之间变化的一个程度。那在这张图表上看起来感觉变化非常大，但事实上与其他的不同种类的贝果做相比之后呢，会发现其实它的变化并没有这么大。
All right, and so as we look at this, we can write a sentence like, the popularity of the garlic bagel reached a maximum at about 8%, and then it remains flat.
好，那我们就可以用写出下面这个句子来描述这个大蒜口味的贝果。我们可以说，大蒜口味贝果受欢迎的程度在到达这个最高点是8%哦。那接着它就是表现持平的状态。
All right, so one thing to be aware of when you are writing about data is keep it consistent. So if you're talking about the shape of your data, then keep all your descriptions like that.
好，那接下来当你在写作的时候，另一件重要的事情呢，就是记得让你的写作的这个形式要保持一致。比如说你现在在描述这个资料的形状哦，那你接下来就都描述资料的形状。
All right, we're running out of time, and so for your homework, make sure that you go through the exercises in the chapter.
好，那各位同学，我们现在时间不够了，请各位同学回去要记得要再看过这个课本哦，然后做好里面的所有的练习。
All right, thanks for joining us this week, and we will see you again next week.
好，谢谢各位同学参与，我们下周再见。